Oh, okay. Depends on what month you're going. Okay. Let's see here. Where's my wallet? Oh, there it is. I tend to lose my wallet a lot. The past couple of days, I've lost my wallet like 3 times.
You've lost
I found it. It ended up being in a golf bag, like underneath something in the car. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, here and wherever you are watching around the world. Again, my name is Diallo. Thanks for joining me here at ASEB. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, and we're going to be doing current events to see what's been going on in the last 7 days, for which last time we did current events. Just to catch anybody up on what they've missed or give more information on what they already know or don't know. And we all know that it's been a very tumultuous time, not only for our country, but also the world with the COVID-19 virus going around. So there is lots of argument about opening up schools and whether we should open up schools right now or not. And there's lots of debate and argument going on about that because people don't want to put their kids at risk and people don't want to put the health of the teachers at risk. But at the same time, the science says that kids are very likely to even transmit it or die or pass away from it. So there's that as well. So it's an interesting topic, but we're going to read a little bit. So this is from the East Bay Times from today. It says virus outbreaks limited as California schools reopen. They're masked, disinfected, and distanced with encouraging results so far. California's K through 12 school children have been returned to the classroom this month, and so far, state public health officials report no significant increases in COVID-19 cases. That's noteworthy, officials say, considering the number of schools resuming in-person instruction and relevant levels of community transmission. We are rolling, said Don Austin, superintendent of the Palo Alto Unified School District, one of the Bay Area's first public school systems to return to the classroom after months of just doing distance learning. About 700 Palo Alto pupils from the transitional kindergarten through first grade made a partial return to classes last week with the start of a hybrid online and in-person instruction. So hybrid instruction means that they go in school and they do in-person learning 2 or 3 days a week, and then the other 2 or 3 days they do online learning at home. That's hybrid. See where we're at. Another 700 second and third graders would join them later this month. Happy kids and teachers are settling in also, Austin said. School reopening has been controversial nationwide. Many parents want their kids back in classrooms because they aren't learning as much, even with the improvements in online distance learning, and need to socialize while allowing their parents to work. So that's a huge problem that what we're seeing now with all the kids learning from home, they're not getting socialized correctly, especially in the crucial time periods, which is basically kindergarten through 6th grade, when their brains are really developing. They're learning how to be a human being, right? Because they're interacting with other kids. It means they're getting in fights, they're picking on each other, they're getting picked on, like things you need to learn in order to survive as a human being in our world today. They're just not getting that staying at home. Others, including many unionized public school teachers, fear the virus risk remains too high. The California Teachers Association released a statewide poll Thursday based on surveys last month that the union said found broad and ongoing concerns for the safety of students and educators. The online poll of 1,296 registered voters, including 527 public school parents, conducted September 18th through the 25th. Found half of the parents want to keep classrooms closed and stick with the online learning for now, while 40% want some in-person instruction and 10% want those schools to fully reopen. In response, the other questions in response to the other questions, 40% of parents said schools should not reopen until there is a vaccine for the coronavirus. Other teachers want to be in front of the students, but we have to do it in a manner where it is safe, said California Teacher Association President E. Toby Boyd, who is also a kindergarten teacher in Elk Grove. In Palo Alto, safety measures include hospital-grade air purifiers and desks spaced 6 feet apart and separated by clear plastic barriers. Still, parents have been divided over sending their kids back to school, back to class, and for younger grades, we're told to choose either a hybrid partial return to class or all distance learning for the remainder of the school year. California classrooms shut in mid-March as the virus pandemic mushroomed and state officials delayed an expected return to in-person instruction in the fall and in most urban areas after a summer case surge. Now, only 10 of California's 58 counties are in the state's purple color tier for widespread outbreaks where in-class instruction is still not permitted, except by a waiver for elementary schools. That means about 4 million of the state's more than 6 million K-12 students live in counties where schools can reopen classrooms, according to the state education department. Wow. Interesting, huh? So what do you think about that? You think kids should go back to school?
They should go back up.
Even with the virus still?
They'd be learning more in school.
You think, yeah?
So that's why.
Do you say even with the virus the way it is, you still think they should be going?
To an extent they do,
Yeah.
so they can learn a little bit, they can learn a little bit.
Yeah. What about you, Annie? What do you think? Same thing?
They should be in school.
They should be?
Right, and they're not learning anything else.
That's very true. So they need to learn how to socialize, Yeah. Very true. All right.
I think a lot of them parents send their children. A lot of them have.
Yeah. All right. So let's do one more COVID story. This one is world struggles as confirmed cases pass 40 million worldwide. That's a lot, isn't it? Well, think about it this way. How many people do you think are in the world right now?
Over me.
There's about 7 billion people in the world. So there's only 40 million confirmed cases out of 7 billion. That's like less than 0.5%, I think. Let's find out how much that is. So 7 billion people. Let's see. So 40. Let's get to 40 million. 7 million. 7 million. 7,000. 7 million. 70 million. 700 million. 7 billion divided by 40 million. 40 million. That's about 1.7% of the population of the world has COVID. It's probably a lot higher than that because there are a lot of places where testing is just not available. But from what the numbers that they have, it's about 1.7% of the world's population has COVID right now. That's just a rough guess too. So the number of confirmed coronavirus cases across the planet has surpassed 40 million, but experts say that is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the true impact of the pandemic that has upended life and work around the world. The milestone was hit Monday morning, according to Johns Hopkins University, which collects reports from around the world. The actual worldwide tally of COVID-19 cases is likely to be far higher, as testing has been uneven or limited, and many people have had no symptoms, and some governments have concealed the true number of cases, like in China and Russia. They just haven't told people how many cases they have. China, for instance, says
it start in China?
It started in China, but China only says that only 1,000 people have died.
Oh,
they got 2 billion people in the country, only 1,000 people died. That makes no sense. Same thing with Russia. They say like 1,000 people have died. That doesn't make any sense. To date, more than 1.1 million confirmed virus deaths have been reported, although experts also believe that number is undercount. The US, India, and Brazil are reportedly by far the highest numbers of cases, 8.1 million for USA, 7.5 million for India, and 5.2 million in Brazil, respectively. Although the global increase in recent weeks has been driven by a surge in Europe, which has seen over 240,000 cases of confirmed virus deaths in the pandemic so far. In the US, some states are trying more targeted measures as cases continue to rise across the country. New York's new round of virus shutdowns zeroes in on individual neighborhoods, closing schools and businesses in hotspots measuring just a couple square miles. As of last week, new cases per day were on the rise in 44 US states, which many of the biggest surges in the Midwest and Great Plains, where resistance to wear masks and taking other precautions has been running high, and the virus has often been seen as just a big city problem. Deaths per day were climbing in 30 states. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the US government's top infectious disease expert, said Americans should think hard about whether to hold Thanksgiving gatherings next month. The World Health Organization said last week that Europe had reported a record weekly high of nearly 700,000 cases, and said that the region was responsible for about a third of the cases globally. Britain, France, and Russia and Spain account for about half of all new cases in the region, and countries like Belgium and the Czech Republic are facing more intense outbreaks now than they did in the spring. The World Health Organization has previously estimated about 1 in 10 of the world's population, which is about 780 million people, have been infected with COVID-19, more than 20 times the official number of cases. That suggests that the vast majority of the world's population is still susceptible to the virus. Some researchers have argued that allowing COVID-19 to spread in populations that are not obviously vulnerable will help build up herd immunity and is a more realistic way to stop the pandemic instead of the restrictive lockdowns that have proved economically devastating. But the World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, has warned against the belief that herd immunity might be a viable strategy to pursue, saying this kind of protection needs to be achieved by vaccination, not by deliberately exposing people to potentially fatal diseases. Allowing a dangerous virus that we do not fully understand to run free is simply unethical, Tedros said last week. The UN Health Agency said it hopes that there might be enough data to determine if any of the COVID-19 vaccines now being tested are effective by the end of the year. But it warned that the first generation vaccines are unlikely to provide complete protection and that it could take at least 2 years to bring the pandemic under control. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The United States is with this trouble. People in all those states or countries have it worse.
Yeah, they do, but they don't have the infrastructure that America has a lot of times. No. So some countries are doing worse. We have places like China who just don't care about their citizens a lot of times. Mm-hmm.
They were saying that President Trump's son had the virus at 14 you heard about that?
Yeah, but he was okay though. He's 14, so it really doesn't affect 14-year-olds that much.
Oh.
Yeah, look, kids under 18, it doesn't affect them that much. Most of them don't even know they have it, or if they do, they just have maybe a fever for a couple of days. Like it's like a normal flu for them.
Oh.
It starts to get bad when you get people my age and above. That's when you start getting complications with even somebody who's perfectly healthy with no diabetes, high blood pressure, who's perfectly healthy, they could be susceptible. And they actually pass away. Well, anybody can pass away from it, but anybody can pass away from it. But the older you are, the more likely you are to pass away. Yeah. So the World Series is going to start tomorrow. No, game one's tonight. You got the Dodgers and the Tampa Bay Rays. Man, how about that? Let's look at some local news here. Let's see what we got in the local news. Here we go, weather. A red flag warning issued for the North Bay. A break from the wickedly warm temperatures came to the Bay Area's way on Monday, but that did little to ease the fire concerns in certain parts of the region. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning lasting from 11 p.m. Monday until 8 a.m. Wednesday for the North Bay Mountains, particularly in the northeast Napa County. Meteorologist Jerry Diaz said late Monday morning. The warning upgrades a previous fire weather watch, with offshore winds expected to blow from 20 to 25 miles per hour and gusts up to 40 miles per hour, the Weather Service said. We are really expecting those winds to pick up overnight, Diaz said. Going into the next few days, the air mass is going to dry out and more, is going to dry out more and more, and there's going to be this burst of winds followed by a second and third burst later in the week. The long-term forecast brought a new fire weather watch for Wednesday evening into Friday morning, Diaz said, with areas of concern including the East Bay Hills and the Santa Cruz Mountains, along with the North Bay Mountains, he said. The main concern there is just really the dry conditions, Diaz said. At least the thermometers seems to be cooperating Monday. The hottest spots in the Bay Area, Livermore, Antioch, and Almaden Valley were expected to top out in the high 90s, the high 80s to the low 90s, a dip of about 3 to 4 degrees from Sunday and 8 to 10 degrees from Saturday. When heat records were set in San Jose at 95 degrees, San Francisco at 93 degrees, and Napa at 96. Wow, so on Saturday it was 93 degrees in San Francisco, which means most people in San Francisco don't have air conditioning. And if you lived on a top floor of a building that has no air conditioning, woo, that was a hot day. Yeah. It was definitely a beach day. A shallow marine layer brought fog late Sunday night and helped cool down the region, according to the Weather Service. The temperatures will begin to reverse course on Tuesday, according to the forecaster, but the heat is not expected to approach that of the past 3 heat waves. It's going to be a very subtle warm-up over the next couple of days, Diaz said. It's not going to be a huge difference in what we were seeing on Monday, maybe a couple degrees. So yeah. So yeah, get some. So we're going to look at an incident that happened in Crockett on the freeway. So man, 55, dies after a solo crash on Highway 80 in Contra Costa County. A 55-year-old San Leandro man died in a solo crash early Sunday on eastbound Interstate 80 at the Cummings Skyway off-ramp in Crockett, the California Highway Patrol reported. Authorities said a 1999 Ford Explorer went over the right side of the freeway while traveling at a high rate of speed, then overturned several times. The driver was pronounced dead at the scene, the CHP said. His identity was not immediately available for the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Coroner's Office. A CHP news release said investigators do not know if alcohol or drugs were factors in the incident. Huh. Well, he was traveling at a high rate of speed like that. Either he had a medical emergency or he was drunk. It's sad. So sad. Another one. Fiery crash on Orinda Road kills East Bay woman. It's sad news. A Pleasanton woman died early morning after losing control of her car and running off a rural bypass road, the California Highway Patrol said. The crash happened at about 12:20 a.m. on San Pablo Dam Road, just north of the Bear Creek Road, the CHP also said. Authorities did not immediately identify the 33-year-old woman. Oh, that's the same age as me. Oh, man. 33-year-old woman pending notification of her relatives. According to the CHP, the woman was driving a 2013 Kia Optima away from Interstate 80 toward Orinda when it veered right off the roadway through a metal guardrail and down a steep embankment. It also hit several trees, the CHP said. The car ended up in a creek bed. The car started a fire in the 500 block of San Pablo Dam Road that Moraga Arenda firefighters extinguished. The key appeared to have been going about 70 miles per hour, according to CHP officers at the scene, and a friend was following her on the San Pablo. Oh my gosh, a friend was behind her in the car. Oh, I couldn't imagine seeing my friend, like, you're driving behind them and you see them go off the road like that. Oh, I couldn't imagine that. The woman does not appear to have been wearing her seatbelt. She was thrown from the Kia and died at the scene. The impact was very violent, which indicates that there was a lot of speed involved, Todd Federley said. Additionally, there was no skid marks. Oh, so there was no evasive actions taken, so that might explain why the impact was so severe. Oh. So there's no skid marks, meaning she never slowed down. So my thing is, she probably fell asleep, or she was drinking and fell asleep and passed out. Or she had a medical emergency. I really don't know. I can't say she was drinking, I can't say she was not, but the fact is there was no skid marks, because usually if somebody, even if they're drinking and driving, if somebody's going to try to avoid something, they're going to try to skid, right? They're going to hit the brakes. Never hit the brakes. Nope. She's 33. Oh. Yeah. Oh, man. Yep. I'm 34. I mean, man. And life is so short, isn't it? Your life could just be snuffed out like that. Like I could be sitting here right now and just die. I'd be gone. And I wouldn't even know it.
People used to say, here today, gone tomorrow.
Here today, gone tomorrow. You got to cherish every single day you have, right? You got to cherish every single day we have. Treat it like it's your last. I was playing baseball. That's the way I played. I played every single baseball game like it was the last game I was ever going to play. Every single at bat I had, it was like the last at bat I was ever going to have. Because at any time, it could be taken away from me. I could be injured. I could be killed. Everything. I could be, it's difficult. It's difficult for, especially young people, it's difficult for younger people to get that because we think we're invincible. Like when I was 18, oh, whatever. I can do anything I want to. I'm not going to get hurt. Yeah.
Really pay attention.
Exactly. All right, here's some better news from San Andrew. 2 arrested in kidnapping, sexual assault, and robbery by a BART station. 2 men were arrested Monday in the kidnapping, sexual assault, and robbery of an 18-year-old woman who was abducted early Saturday while she was on BART property, authorities said Monday. Police have not released their names or ages as they have not been booked. Authorities did say they were Alameda County residents. The woman was abducted at about 12:20 a.m. Saturday, and she was on a street located on Bay Fair Station property, authorities said. The station address is 15242 Hesperian Boulevard, and authorities said she was not coming from the station or the parking lot. She told police 2 men forcefully grabbed her and put her in their car before driving to a nearby location, not on BART property, where both men sexually assaulted her. Mm-hmm. I wish those men would get the nuts cut off. People who do that, I don't understand men who try to sexually assault women. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
like, can you not find a woman to go get a hooker for God's sakes? Like, you know what I mean? If you're really that desperate, go get a hooker. Man, I don't know how much they cost, but you probably get a cheap one, right? Yeah. Might give you a couple of diseases, but
Taking a chance.
The exact big chance. Wrap it up, right?
That's it.
She told police that after being assaulted, the men took some personal property from her and forced her out of the car. She returned to her home and called police later in the morning, authorities said. She was taken to a hospital for examination and later released, authorities said. Police have not said what led them to the suspects. Huh.
They found them?
Yeah, they arrested him. That's kind of fishy. Yeah. Because she didn't call the police until
later.
Well, she got home and didn't call the police right away. You know why? She's probably scared. That's probably what it was. Because a lot of women end up actually not reporting it because they're scared. They're scared of retribution. Because a lot of times what happens is with sexual assault cases, it's usually somebody the woman knows or the man knows. So they don't call the police or anything because they don't want the retribution. So that's why I'm trying to think, and maybe she knew these people. And she didn't call the police right away. I don't know. I don't know. Again, that's just me speculating. Yeah,
maybe in Malaysia.
that's what humans do to speculate. I'm not saying anybody's in the wrong here except for the people who raped her. Those people are wrong. They should have their balls cut
I'm
off.
just glad they didn't kill her.
Yes, but they should have their balls cut off. Plain simple. No balls for you. Whack.
That's right. Things happen.
Yeah. No balls for you. Wow. Have it cut off by a sushi chef. And stick it in their food and them eat their own. Yeah. All right, let's get some advice. Let's go look at the advice page, huh? Yeah, they got the advice page. You got two women who do this. The first advice woman she's called Ask Amy. So Amy Dickinson, that's it. Her daily thing is called Ask Amy. And then there's a columnist, Dear Abby, who people write to her about Dear Abby stuff.
Yeah.
So here's one. Son-in-law leaves trail of chaos. So let's see what this means. My son-in-law, Kirk, has issues with closing doors, kitchen cabinets, and refrigerator doors. 3 times my daughter has had to throw out food because it's spoiled. He doesn't close cereal boxes, bags of candy, or chips either. My husband and I tolerated Kirk's behavior until a recent visit to our home. He again left the door to our garage open where our inside cat could have escaped. He was rough when opening our recliner, and he also didn't turn the cap all the way down on the seltzer bottle. But I know better than to shake the bottle before checking the cap because I once spilled orange juice everywhere after he failed to tighten the cap. My daughter says she has known Kirk for 15 years and he isn't going to change. She says he doesn't focus on the task at hand, but is thinking about something else. I suppose she has just given up and continually goes behind him to fasten things.
Yes.
My husband and I feel he doesn't respect our home when he behaves this way. After my daughter spoke to Kirk about his last visit, she has brought our granddaughter over twice, but he stayed home. I feel like both of them think we are making much ado about nothing. So what do you think?
The man tearing up their house.
He's just leaving stuff open, leaving bottles open, leaving cereal boxes open, not closing doors.
I think that's not
Is that really a reason to hate somebody? Is that really the reason to hate somebody?
It's not.
Yeah.
Well, he's just a guy nobody really taught. Think
Yeah.
about it as he was growing up.
So let's see Abby's response.
Yeah.
So Abby wrote, Dear Open and Shut, has your daughter or son-in-law actually said that to him? You were not wrong to speak up, and it's not much ado about nothing. It is consideration for the property of others. You should have drawn the line after the first time you were immature and inconsiderate son-in-law left the garage door open. Was he stoned during those visits? Distracted by his cell phone? Address the matter directly with your son-in-law and consider seeing them at their house instead of yours. I think that's good advice.
And now go to their house. Maybe they don't want to.
Yeah, that's good
His
advice.
son-in-law probably tore up everything.
No.
They got
I won't
men.
let them in if they get over there.
They got men who just don't pick up after themselves.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. It's Dear Abby. My mom insists on giving my oldest child, Jim, less money than the other grandchildren because he's my stepson. Jim is 19, and I'm the only mother he has ever known since he was 2.5. I'm still married to his father, and Jim is part of the family. I realized what she was doing only last Christmas when she gave Jimmy $100 and the other 12 grandchildren $500. This included my 2 younger children. When I asked her why, she couldn't give me a straight answer. I have always regarded Jim as my own and thought she felt the same way. Now I'm no longer sure she's going to leave him an inheritance when she's gone, and I feel crummy. Well, first of all, she has no obligation to leave anybody an inheritance. That's my thing. Second of all, yeah, so what happened was she married a guy who had a 2.5-year-old. And now that 2.5-year-old's 19 years old. And her and the man have had kids, other kids. There's 5 kids altogether. And so basically he's the stepchild. So all the other kids, all the other grandkids, they all got $500 last Christmas from grandma. But grandma only gave the stepson $100. Isn't it?
If he was going to do that, you shouldn't give
anybody, right?
Right.
Exactly.
So they got some cold.
So we're,
Sure do.
I didn't get any inheritance. Actually, I did get it. When my grandpa died, he did give me money. He gave me money for college. He gave me like $5,000 for college, just for I had to use it for college.
That's good.
Yeah. So let's see what the response is. Dear Lost, unfortunately, in some, not all families, this happens. Bear in mind that the money your mother is gifting is hers to do with as she wishes, and there is nothing you can do to force her to behave more charitably towards Jim. However, you and your husband might consider equalizing it in your own estate plans when the time comes. Have the two of you already talked with an attorney about wills, advance directives, etc.? If you haven't, now may be the time to discuss the subject. So yeah, when Christmas comes around and Grandma gives everybody $500 and Jim $100, just give Jim another $400 and it's done with it, right? Nobody knows, right? Simple answer. Very simple answer. So let's see. Let's read this one. All right. This is an Ask Amy advice page. Okay. Right person, wrong time. Dear Amy, I am a 22-year-old woman and got dumped last week by my boyfriend. He is 21. We had been together for 2 months. It was the most romantic and happiest time for the both of us. Well, apparently not if he dumped you. Wasn't that romantic if he dumped you?
So happy.
Yeah, exactly. He must have been not been happy, not been that happy. We made plans to spend our lives together, getting married, having kids, etc. We were 21 years old. I mean, you only know something. His reason for the breakup was to spend time with his own to deal with his PTSD and depression from an abusive relationship that he got out of this year. I was 21 years old. He's already been in an abusive relationship with somebody. Ooh. Yeah, he's not very good at picking women. Yeah. He called our relationship right person, wrong time. Ooh. But I asked him if the breakup was permanent yesterday, and he said it was. He said that when he feels better, he'll want a fresh start, but I don't understand. If I'm the right person, then why is he ending our relationship? Whenever he said he loved me and wanted a life with me, and that he has never been as in love until me, I could tell he was telling the truth. I love him so much, and this has affected me so badly. I know he still loves me, so why is he acting like he hates me right now? He threatened to block me on social media. Can you help me? Well,
he's nuts.
Yeah, he's a little crazy. You got this woman who absolutely loves him. Or it might be a power thing too. Because there's a lot of instances where, well, in a male, female, female, the person in the relationship who has the power is the person who has the least invested in the relationship. That's who has the most power. So this girl absolutely loves him. He could have just said that stuff, knowing he's going to get out of the relationship in a couple months anyways, but dragging her along so he can get more out of it.
Right.
That's the power of it. It's the power of the relationship. And she just hasn't quite known it yet until they broke up. She's 21 years old. She's 22 and he's 21. I mean, your life experience is like this.
Younger than you.
Why not?
It's not good. Why you get?
Well, younger, 21 and 22, they're the same age.
Same age.
It's not like she was 30 and he was 20. That'd be different. Yeah, so let's see the response. Dear Devastated, this guy is trying to break up with you. Your job now is to respect his choice, even if you believe he is sending you a mixed message. However, he isn't actually sending you a mixed message. Right person, wrong time means I care about you, but I'm breaking up with you. I need time on my own in order to deal with my previous trauma and depression means I'm breaking up with you. Threatening to block you on social media means I'm breaking up with you. Don't attempt to communicate with me. If I'm interested in reviving our relationship, I'll get in touch with you. It is terrible, awful, and so heartbreaking to be left behind, especially after a passionate a passionate crashing together that felt perfect at the time. Over the course of 2 months, you two cycled through several. Over the course of 2 months, you two cycled through several months worth of dynamics. Please take time to regroup. Breakups can be devastating, but they can also lead to personal insight and personal growth. Next time, go slow. Keep in mind this saying. Keep in mind this somewhat cheesy saying that actually helped me to recover from my own long ago divorce. If you love someone, set them free. If they come back, they're yours. If they don't, they never were. Interesting, huh? I'm going to read that again. If you love someone, set them free. If they come back, they're yours. But if they don't, they never were. That is an awesome. You know what? I'm going to take a picture of that because that's a great quote. I love that quote. That is awesome. That's an awesome cheesy. It's a cheesy saying, but it's cool.
It's for real.
I never heard that before. Interesting. All right, let's see what else we got here. Dear Amy, I have to admit that I was shocked to see your lengthy response to concerned friend who reported that his male friend was being physically abused by his wife. You're usually so biased, sexist, anti-male that I was genuinely shocked to read your affirmative response to this question. Dear disappointed, yes, men are also gravely affected by intimate partner violence, and it is devastating for both the survivor and his friends and family. I feel thoroughly damned by faint praise, but regardless, I sincerely thank you. That's funny. All right, so we're going to do our last thing for current events. We are going to do Today in History and News of the Weird. So we're going to let's see what News of the Weird is. We'll do News of the Weird last. So Today in History, and today is October 20th, 2020. We're going to look back at other October 20th in different years. So first one, October 20th, 1803. The U.S. Senate ratified the Louisiana Purchase. You know what the Louisiana Purchase is?
Yeah.
Louisiana Purchase, where the federal government bought Louisiana, from Louisiana, part of maybe Mississippi, and all the way up to Missouri, up there. Yeah, somewhere up there. They bought all that from the French. Part of it, the French did not want it. They wanted to sell it because it was a lot of swampland and lots of mosquitoes and all that. And the French didn't like that. But hence why New Orleans is French, right? Lots of people don't want to speak French and Creole and things like that, because the French were the first to co-colonize that with the natives. The French were the first. And they sold it because it was just too hot, too humid, too many bugs, too many alligators. And they sold it, which was a stupid thing because there's a lot of natural resources there.
Until today, in that time, New Orleans is a French place.
Yes.
People, look like different. I forgot.
I know what you mean.
Because I haven't been away so long. But New Orleans is a very French city.
Yes, it is.
You always speak a lot of Creole.
Mm-hmm.
It's all Creole.
It is. All right. So, October 20th, 1947, the House Un-American Activities Committee opened hearings into alleged communist influence and infiltration in the motion picture industry. So that was a period known as, what was it called? Black. So what they did is say we were all in Hollywood, we all make movies. If I didn't like you for some reason, I would say that you were a communist. And just for me saying that, you would lose your job and you would be blackballed from making movies and things like that. You would lose your job. You'd be hauled in front of Congress to testify that you were not a Russian spy. Let me see. It says, actors accused of being communists. How you spell Hollywood? I got it. LLYWOD. Yeah, it was the Hollywood Blacklist. It was called the Red Scare. Mm-hmm. So even people like Charlie Chaplin, he was banned from ever doing anything. That's scary.
Really?
Yeah, we're starting to see that again now. We're starting to see that people voted for Trump. I've got a weird feeling that when Trump loses this election, which he probably is, that the media and people in government and people around, they're going to go to all the people who voted for Trump and they're going to demand that they apologize for voting for Trump. It's going to be bad. It's going to be reconciliation commission. Basically, if you voted for Trump, you have to get on national TV and apologize.
Oh,
which is crazy. That's stuff they do in China and Russia.
Yeah, not in the United States.
No, that's not the United States. Ugh. All right. October 20th, 1967. 7 men were convicted of violating the civil rights of a slain civil rights worker, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner. Yeah, remember that? So it was right on the march to Selma. It happened right during that. Yep, it happened right during then. And it was 1 black man and 2. It was either 2 white men and a black man, or 2 black men and a white man. But they were civil rights workers, and they were driving at night and got pulled over by a bunch of racist rednecks, and they murdered them and buried them. And then a couple of the guys were bragging about it, and the cops found out, and the guys told them where they buried them. They found them a couple weeks later, buried. 1967. So 60 years ago? Yeah, 57 years ago? 53, you're right. 53 years. Yeah, 53 years ago. How crazy is that? I mean, that's back when they had sundown towns, right? Remember those? Meaning once the sun, at certain towns in the South, you couldn't drive through them at night if you're black because you had curfew. Sundown towns. They were back in the day, in the 50s, 60s. Yeah, you like, especially if you're black and you say you wanted to drive from, Arkansas to New York. You'd have to. There was 2. You know when you had the map books that people had.
Yeah.
There were 2 types. There was a type for white people, and there was a type for African Americans, because everything was segregated.
Oh, yeah.
So you had to make sure that you're on the right route to get. If you need to stop and sleep, you need to go to a black-owned hotel,
Right.
black-owned restaurant, because you do not want to be stuck in the South in the middle of the night in a sundown town.
No.
So they might actually kill you.
Yes.
They might actually lynch you. So look, there was 2 separate cross-country maps, one for African Americans and one for white people, one for everybody else. And the black people have to use this one to make sure that they're on the right route and stop at all the right places.
Right.
Yeah.
The South is a terrible place to live. I always say it.
Not anymore. It's a great place to live there.
It's doing good.
Oh, it's great. I love it. I love the South.
Raised in New York.
That was a different. There are. Don't get me wrong. There are still some of those people down there, but not even close to as many as there used to be.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there are still some of those people, but again, it's nowhere near. You can walk around at night and be okay.
A youngster got killed in the South. Emmett Till.
Emmett Till, yes, he got killed because he supposedly whistled at a white girl.
Oh, yeah.
And they dragged him behind the truck for miles and miles. And they had to open, his mom had an open casket so everybody could see what they did to him. And his open casket, I mean, they really couldn't do much. It was just, his face was mutilated and everything. But his mom wanted to have the open casket so everybody could see what those people did to him.
Yes.
So that never happened again.
Dirty.
Yes.
That's what they are.
All right.
My dad used to have all the time hustling my brothers.
Yeah.
Give them time to come in.
Yep.
At night.
All
I
right.
don't believe New Orleans is a safe place either.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you get that. So today in history, October 20th, 1973. In the so-called Saturday Night Massacre, Special Watergate prosecutor Archibald Cox was dismissed, and Attorney General Elliot L. Richardson and Deputy Attorney General William B. Rackles resigned because of Watergate, which is good old Dick Nixon.
Crooked Dick.
Crooked Dick. Got that crooked dick, didn't he? Crooked Dick. Love it. He was crooked and he was a dick.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a cool study.
I think he worked in Trump.
Yeah. Here's a cool study from the animal kingdom. Study. Dogs were once bred in the Northwest for woolly fur. You know that? Yeah. So news of the weird. Last thing. News of the weird. More things to worry about. The Atlantic has reported that the Atlantic has reported that there are around 9 million wild pigs roaming the United States in at least 39 states and causing 2.5 billion worth of damage annually to crops and livestock. Many of the feral swine are hybrids, a mixture of domestic bred and wild boars called super pigs that multiply so fast. I've heard it referred to as a feral swine bomb, said Dale Nolte, manager of the National Feral Swine Damage Management Program at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So yeah, if you go down to Pebble Beach here in California, there's actually people that are paid every year to go down there and hunt the wild boar because they're so destructive and they're dangerous.
That's some hogs.
Mm-hmm. You know that, and hogs, those are not even native to America. They came from Europe, and they came over with Christopher Columbus, if you can believe that. So Christopher Columbus and his little cohort of people came over with 20 pigs, domestic pink pigs. Those turned into all the pigs you see now in North, Central, and South America. Because once those pigs get loose, so if you get a baby pink pig or even a 2-year-old pink pig, once it gets loose, it takes about 6 months, even less than that, for it to turn into a wild boar. It'll start growing tusks, it'll turn a darker color, it'll get more coarse hair, and it becomes meat. It happens. Yes. You can take a nice pot-bellied pig and throw it in the wild, and within 6 months, it's going to have big-ass tusks and everything. And they multiply. I mean, pigs, little pigs like that.
So will they attack you?
They will, yeah. You get close to them. Like when I was in Arizona, we would go wild. We would go javelina hunting. That's what they're called in Arizona. They're called javelina. It's the same thing with their wild boar, wild pigs, things like that. But we would go hunting. We could take AK-47s to hunt with them. But it was legal to hunt there because they were such a nuisance and they hurt a lot of people, especially kids. Because what happened was kids, they'd be walking behind their house and they'd see little baby pigs. You go, how cute, little baby pigs. Mama pig don't like that. So mama pigs don't come and try to mess you up. So it was legal, at least back then, it was legal to hunt them. You could hunt them with AK-47s. So we would hunt them and have lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next month or so. It was delicious. Yeah, they're very dangerous. Wild pigs are very dangerous animals. And they can easily get up to 200-300 pounds. Some of the big ones.
You go down south to New Orleans,
Florida, yeah, Florida, Mississippi, right in the swamp area, on the coast, yeah.
Is that the pig that had them stickers on the
Yeah, they got the big tusks that come out. Yeah, wild boars. Yeah, they start off as like little pigs, like the pigs you eat. They'll start off as that, and within months they'll grow tusks, and they'll get meat, and they eat everything. They eat plants. They'll eat dead animals. They'll even hunt for live animals. So they'll hunt for ground squirrels, things like that. They eat everything. They're just like us. They eat everything. Yep. There's kind of a joke when it comes to the mafia, where they say that the best way to get rid of a body is stick it in a pig pen, because the pigs will eat everything. They'll eat the bones. They'll eat everything. Get rid of a body. All right. So on that note, getting rid of bodies. Thank you for joining me for our weekly current events for this week of October 20th. Again, my name is Diallo. I have my lovely Annie sitting next to me, as you can see. and everybody else, Beatrice and Jesus. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Happy Tuesday to you. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's a